It's time for a 5-minute deck tech where the tech lasts 5 minutes or less and the gameplay is much longer. Okay, Artisan. Artisan is a format where you can only use commons and uncommons in your deck. This was created for the Theros event that's happening through the end of March 2020. However, the deck is solid and can be played as a budget standard deck. Either way, let's check out my blue and white Auras Artisan build. Video starts right now. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below. Hello and welcome to the day. Thank you for spending your time with us. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. I am Joel. Let's talk about my blue-white Auras deck that is an Artisan deck. But first, if you wouldn't mind, if you liked the video, by the end of it, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe button, it really helps us out. Let's jump over into the deck. As I said, I created this deck in conjunction with the Theros event that's happening right now and will be happening through the end of March. However, I was having a lot of fun with the deck and it played pretty well, so that if you spent a little time on it and maybe, put 4 rares into it with the wild cards you have available, it's a pretty playable deck. Over here, the thought of it is quite simple. We've got 1-drop creatures and a 2-drop creature. We'll talk about Cerulean Drake, but we want to drop an all-seed, a Healer's Hawk, or a Spectral Sailor. We want to put enchantments on it, Sentinel's Eyes, All That Glitters, or Staggering Insight to draw cards. And then we want to protect it with what is also an aura, Starlit Mantle, and Karametra's Blessing. On top of that, we got 2 removal spells, but what you've got here is your 2 protection spells, protecting, also all-seed. Actually, we have 3 4-ofs of protection spells, essentially, to protect whatever we get, suited up with Close, All That Glitters, or Staggering Insight, and just keep pushing through. I included Cerulean Drake because it has that built-in protection from red. I like in a auras kind of boggle style deck having cards that already have protection, and since this is a one-of, it also helps counter target spells that target us. Spectral is going to help us draw cards if we get enough mana. Sentinel's Eyes comes back if it happens to die, and like I said, we've got 2 Banishing Lights just in case they've got some blocker that we can't quite get through. Let's look at some gameplay. I am going to actually show you my entire run of the Theros event here at the beginning of February 2020, just giving you the date depending on when you're watching this. I went 3-1. I only lost once on the way to getting my 3 victories, so let's go and check that out. First game of our set. We have to mulligan. We only get blue mana in our opening hand. We are going to toss back a card and keep this hand because we do have 1 of each. Now we've got a weird decision here, and I can't tell, if I made the right choice or not. We bottomed the Karametras because we want to have a second option in case the Healer's Hawk just gets aced out of the gate. We want to have a second option to suit up, a creature to suit up. But the Healer's Hawk survives. It gets to 2/2 with the Sentinel's Mark, and we get to untap here, which is nice. We unfortunately don't have a protection spell yet, so we're just gonna kind of go all in on this Healer's Hawk and hope that we can untap. We're obviously hinting that we have something with the 1 blue, but doesn't really matter. We draw an all-seed, which is beautiful because now the Healer's Hawk goes up and we have protection for it. They have a 2/3 flyer, but we don't care about that. We're just going to keep punching in. We also were able to play the Cerulean Drake there because might as well. It'll counter anything that could have targeted us, and we still have 1 mana open for the all-seed, which is beautiful. Talk about beautiful is top decking a Starlit Mantle, because now we are totally protected on this Healer's Hawk. We've got 2 ways to protect it. They played a Daxos last turn, so that doesn't really affect us at all. And we're just going to see what they can do with their 5 mana here. We've got our 5/5 flyer. We've got 2 protectants for it. Protectants, I don't know if that's a word, but I'm going to use it as a word. They play Epicure, their Bloodthirsty grows up a little bit, but at this point it really doesn't matter. What we can do here is Starlit Mantle, give it 6 power. We're going to be able to give it protection from black with the All-Seed of Life's Bounty next turn, and this is going to be the win. Right there, we give it pro-black, we don't need to attack with the Drake, and we pretty quickly and simply dodge, good spells in black and white, which there could have been, that would have cost us that game by removing our creature. But we get our first victory, as you can see there, and we move right along. So we go immediately into a second matchup, and just as a spoiler alert, this is the loss. This is the loss of the match. We run into well, obviously we have to take 2 mulligans there, which is never a great way to start. But I do like the fight that we're able to put up anyway. We end up running into a red-blue draw your second card deck, where they get triggers every time they draw their second card in a match. It's, it's a very good strategy. I like their deck. You know, I like going into these events and not playing just versions of the standard decks that are top tier right now, and so seeing something like that is very cool. We've got the all seed suited up with the Sentinel's Eyes at this point. We're feeling pretty good for having had the mulligan down to 5. We do have 2 ways to protect the all seed right now. In a perfect world, all seed is not really what you want to suit up with this deck, because it is technically one of your protection spells, quote unquote, but it can be a good thing if it's the only thing you've got. You know, you got to have a creature attacking. This is sort of an aggro deck, and so you want to be pushing the entire time. We see an Omen of the Sea across the board. We see a Improbable Alliance. They're going to play a Crackling Drake here, which gives them a big blocker. But the thing is, and why this is such a terrible matchup for us, is that unless we have something that's pro-blue, which we don't really unless we're using an all-seed sack ability, so we can only use that a maximum of 4 times if we draw all 4 of our all-seeds, which is highly unlikely, the Improbable Alliance is going to be able to create a 1/1 every time they draw a second card on a turn. Here we've got a Fairy Vandal. They're just keeping the pressure up. It's tough fighting against a deck like this that, number 1, is drawing a ton of cards, and so their card advantage is just sick. And number 2, every time they do draw a second card in a turn, you end up with another blocker on the battlefield, which is what this deck does not want to see, is a ton of blockers, especially in the air. We've got 3, 4-ofs of creatures that are specifically built into the deck to have avoidance, have that flying built into the creature so that it's able to get through maybe. And as you can see here, they're just going to be able to create flying blockers over and over and over. We're going to keep the pressure on. We use the Karametras there to kill the Fairy Vandal while their defense grid is down, if you will. They were tapped out. And then we see a Murmuring Mystic. So now they're going to be creating a 1/1 every time they cast an instant or sorcery, and a 1/1 every time they draw their second card every turn. And it's just a bad situation to be in. We've got the Staggering Insight, and that's awesome. We might be able to get some, card advantage going. However, again, we're not able to punch through their lines here. We want our creatures to be kind of even so that they have to block 2, because we're going to need to be attacking every turn to continue to gain life and to just eliminate the blockers that they produced the turn before. Another Improbable Alliance hits the battlefield. They're down to, they're at 40 cards in their deck. We're at 49. The thought is like, maybe if we just gain so much life, they're never able to really turn a corner on the aggro front, because at some point this red-blue deck, it's got to, start swinging with an army of 1/1s, and some of them will die in the attack, obviously, but some will be able to get through, and you'll slowly whittle them down. Now, against us, that strategy is not fantastic, because we've got life-linking creatures, so whenever we do block, a 1/1 and kill it, say with the Healer's Hawk is going to give us more life and hopefully negate whatever it is that the 1/1s are able to get through and do. It's not easy to turn a corner against us, particularly with this deck that we're seeing across the table from us. So now we've got the Karametra's Blessing and the Starlit Mantle, so we do have 2 ways now of protecting our creatures from removal. However, with this army of 1/1s that we're seeing across the battlefield, we're having to do exactly what you're seeing right now, which is use them as pump spells so that we can wipe their board back down. And you know, it looks like a losing battle. Every single time we're attacking, we are gaining life, which is excellent. But at a certain point, the Crackling Drake is going to be huge powered. We're going to see now they're playing a Mad Ratter. So whenever they play, right now, let's just take inventory. Whenever they draw their second card per turn, they're getting 2 1/1 flyers. They're getting 2 1/1 rats on the ground. And Murmuring Mystic creates a 1/1 flyer every single time they play an instant or sorcery. This is a horrible matchup for us, and it's not looking good. Our only hope here is that we can just continue to gain life. You know, we're at 48 life already. They're trying to Beacon Bolt our Healer's Hawk, so we've got to protect it, obviously, because we need the flyer to block the 1/1s and gain us a lot of life and offset any damage that could be done. So this is where it's gonna, you know, eventually get towards, though, unless we can figure out some way to get some card advantage, and without staggering insight being able to punch through, we're not drawing cards, obviously. Eventually they're going to be able to kill one of our two things because we're not going to be able to protect it, and that'll be game. We see another Improbable Alliance off of the top of the deck here with the Narset. So let's take another inventory. Now, every time they draw their second card per turn, they're creating 2 1/1 rats on the ground, 3 1/1 fairies in the air. And every time they cast an instant or sorcery, Murmuring Mystic is creating a 1/1 flyer in the air. Not in a great situation. Beacon Bolt is going to hit the All-Seed here, and we can't do anything about it. So the move is we might as well just go ahead and sack All-Seed, give the Healer's Hawk Pro blue, except that is a huge mistake because that knocks our aura off of our own creature, and we absolutely shame concede and take the punt. So we jump right back into it. You know, the losses are going to happen. We hope that the deck is built well enough that it can sustain those, if you will. We see our opening hand, and we love this opening hand. We've got 3 lands, we've got 2 creatures, we've got protection, and an aura. That's pretty excellent. We look across and we see a Dismal Backwater hit the battlefield, so we're looking at black-blue. That's not going to be fun. Overwhelmed Apprentice comes down and puts 2 cards into the library. Fortunately for us, 2 cards into the graveyard. Fortunately for us, one of those is Sentinel's Eyes, and so we are good to go. Right there, we do want to be able to put Aura. We'd rather put it on the flyer, to be frank. You know, we don't want All-Seed suited up if we can help it. However, they Tyrant Scorn the Cerulean Drake. However, we draw another Cerulean Drake. So we just replay that and say go. At this point, we are hoping that the Cerulean Drake will be able to survive a turn, and they missed a land drop. That's huge for us. That sucks for the opponent, but, you know, we're not going to turn it down. We can pull the Sentinel's Eyes out of the graveyard because they already know we have it, and right now they don't know we have a second copy in our hand. And so we can drop it on the Cerulean Drake, and we've got protection here. We're good to go. All-Seed, if they try and hit that in response and 2-for-1 us, we'll just sacrifice the All-Seed. That's fine. But they don't, and the Cerulean Drake starts pumping in. It's got Vigi because of the Sentinel's Eyes. That's one of the reasons I love Sentinel's Eyes, that and it can come back. We see a second Overwhelmed Apprentice hit the battlefield. This is going to allow them to scry. As you can see, our opponent is just missing land drops, and that is an annoyance, but something that happens in Magic, and we're going to try and take advantage. We have a second Sentinel's Eyes. We're not drawing any other auras right now. It'd be excellent to draw and all the glitters right now, because it would trigger off itself and the other 3 enchantments on the battlefield and give our Cerulean Drake 4/4. +4/+4. At this point, whatever they try to do, we're going to be able to protect it. All-Seed there gives it Pro, and the Drown in the Lock fizzles. We've got another All-Seed. We've also got a Starlit Mantle that we can play on top of that. So we've got 2 ways of protecting it this turn. And if we do come untapped with and not play anything, we're going to have Karametra's Blessing and an All-Seed at the same time. We top deck another Starlit Mantle, and we're feeling it at this point. Our opponent's not drawing mana. We're drawing exactly what we need to draw, minus maybe another Plains. That would be nice, but otherwise the draw on this is perfect. Starlit Mantle makes the Tyrant Scorn fizzle. Our Cerulean Drake is up to 5/5. We've got 2 all seeds there to protect it. Now we've got a Karametra's Blessing. We're in good shape as far as our Cerulean Drake goes. They see a fourth land, and they get a Nightvale Predator. In a normal case, this would be a good card for them. However, even the Banishing Light's not going to hit it. However, we can give the All-Seed Pro Black. Nightveil's not going to be able to block it, and we win with 5 damage swing. That is the second victory. We move into the third game here and show you how we wrapped up the event. This was a cool deck and cool run in this event for me because I'm able to show you the entirety of the event as it played out for me, and how quickly this deck can get you there. We love this hand. Holy crap, we love this hand. All Seed, Healer's Hawk, 2 Staggering Insights, and Starlit Mantle just come in hard. We see it might be a mirror, but they do drop a white, another Plains on the second turn. They dump out Healer's Hawk, Royal Pegasus, so this is a version of the hyper-aggressive white decks that run around occasionally. Right here we've got an interesting thing. We're not sure, we're trying to think of how to handle this, We want to grow one creature bigger than their attacks, but we know that they're going to be running things like Banishing, exile enchantments and ways to remove our creatures. So we do want to suit something up, but we want to make sure that we've got protection for it. There's the Banishing Light right there, just like I was talking about. Here, again, if the All-Seed's getting targeted down, we might as well just give the Healer's Hawk Pro White on the turn and call it good. We've got Cerulean Drake here. We can play another creature, and however, we can also grow the Healer's Hawk and see if they want to swing into us. It's not smart for us to swing here, but what this does is it gives us a chance to maybe untap with Super Strength. See it right there. So they're not able to answer our 2/2, and so we're really, really well off right now. Right here, we're going to Vanishing Light the 2/1, and we're going to offer the trade. We've got a Cerulean Drake and a Staggering Insight and backup in our hand, and so if they want to get rid of both of their creatures after having not played a spell last turn, we're fine with it. And as you can see, they obviously had nothing. They weren't drawing anything. I'm not sure what happened there, but we put the pressure on them, and we were able to take down the event and win our Purphoros Bronze Blade. As you can see, once the deck gets rolling, it's pretty unstoppable. It's really difficult to remove those creatures that are being pushed through every single turn and just getting that damage in. And there's a certain point where you've turned a corner and you've got the cards in your hand and you're just really confident that they're not going to be able to remove that creature, and we're just going to be able to keep pushing through. Let me know how you would change the deck. I'd like to kind of keep this deck alive as an Artisan deck, keep working on it and improve it. Obviously, it's built for best of 1, but I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Like I said, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, it really helps us out. If you want to support us further, we've got a Patreon. The link is down in the description below. We're running monthly giveaways over there, and the giveaways keep getting better and better the more people join us. So make sure you go check that out and see if it seems like a cool place for you. If you want to hang out with us, we're streaming most Tuesday and Thursday evenings over on Twitch. Other than that, I'm tapped out. I'll catch you later.